Well, hello and welcome back to the Tao Manifesting Tarot, the most interesting, the most maybe controversial tarot reading on the internet, maybe anywhere for that matter. And that's because I go at this with very serious purpose and focus. You know, I don't want the fantasy, I don't want the rainbows, all that kind of logic and mentality and even language. I want to get right down to it. We live in a very, 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 very critical time, historic for sure. So this is not one of those, let's play with your ego and tell you things and make you feel good when that's really not the whole picture. The whole picture is we have to stand up, we have to be counted. We have to decide we're going to be humans, we're going to be citizens of the world, we're going to show some backbone. Now up to this point, spotty around the world, very little here in the United States as far as I'm concerned, even less in Canada surprisingly, and so this is a very serious critical time. So that's what I bring, Tao Manifesting Tarot. I focus on your ability to manifest. I focus on your ability to create pictures inside of your own head. I don't want them from the AI. I don't want them from the desktop, laptop, even smartphone. And in fact, it's not even me. It's studies, several over the past 20 years, that show that as we become more and more addicted to technology, the dumber, more unresponsive, more uncreative we are becoming. In fact, believe it or not, just saw a report back about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. Latest information says, on average, humans, at least in the United States, have dropped about 9 points in their IQ. That's horrendous. We couldn't afford it to begin with, but certainly 9 points is a big chunk. We're getting dumber. We're getting more lackadaisical. We are more attached and connected to our technology. I understand it. I'm using technology. But let's stop and think for a minute. If they took away the electricity, which they can do, no problem, it's all electric. All they got to do is one algorithm and boom, we all lost it. No electricity, no television, your car won't start. You can't cook food, you have no lights. Could you find food to continue on? As I am recording today, we have a storm coming towards us, a very unusual storm for Lake Superior folk, but it's extremely humid, very warm, upper 80s. It is very unpleasant. I hate humidity. I can take the desert heat. I cannot take the tropical heat. So this is painful. I would have a hell of a tough time. We didn't have electricity. I had air conditioning. I'd have a tough time. It'd be horrendous. So that's the kind of mentality I bring to the Tao Manifesting Tarot. This isn't jerk-off time. This isn't time to play. This is the time to find any backbone that you may have and create opportunities for yourself so you can create opportunities for others. This is a time for rebuilding. Somewhere between 2027 and 2030, based on everything that I'm reading, based on everything that I'm hearing from Bill Gates and others, they're going to tear it all down. They'll do whatever they have to do. And you see what's going on around the world today. They'll do whatever they have to do to distract us, to divide us, to delusion us. Is there such a word? Well, there is a word like delusion, but you know what I mean. And so far, in large part, we're playing right into their hands. At some point, we have to not just say no. We're going to have to take some physical action. People who have the power are not going to give the power. You can't go to Bill Gates and say, hey, Billy, I know you're a billionaire, but you can't have all that power. What is he going to tell you? You have a pretty good idea. Once they have it, they're not going to give it back. That means you have to take it back, and that's the quantum jump. That's why I want you to manifest tarot. I want you to manifest a better future for yourself. Picture a better future for yourself. And so that's what everything that I do here is aimed at. Giving you your kryptonite. The kryptonite of manifesting. Hold on a minute here. Just want to remind you, I have set up a email address, because I'm lousy at communicating with people. One email address, you can contact me if you so desire. tau-tarot@proton.me, tau-tarot@proton.me. And I will, in fact, I've been pretty good at it the last few days. I've been checking, making comments, little maybe conversation at some point with some people. Not on the phone, but certainly via email. So I am reaching out to you in a very organized way, which is sort of unusual for me. It's tau-tarot@proton.me, just what you see on your screen. Alrighty, let's get back to it. So my idea here is to give you the kryptonite that God has given you. Make the pictures in your head so you can make a better picture. You can take responsibility. To do that, I use tarot, and I also use numerology and astrology, something else that separates this tarot reading from others. And the reason I use numerology and astrology is because they are the science of cycles, within cycles, within cycles, within cycles. In other words, you can, I hesitate to use the word predict, but you have a sense of a kind of rhythm. For example, 250 years ago here in the United States, the planets Uranus and Pluto were in specific signs. What did we have? We had our revolution. By the way, the French did as well a few years down the road, so that energy sticks around for a little while. Okay. So now we are 250 years later. It takes 250 years for Pluto to go all the way around our solar system once, so that's why it's taken so long. Uranus has caught up with Pluto. Where are we now? Another revolution is needed. Another 1776 is needed. And it's not a mass protest. It's not a mass saying no. You have to go out and get the bastards and make them pay the price. It's like you have a lawn and you have weeds. If you were to clip the top of the weed off, let's go all the way to the lawn, bottom, right there, right on the lawn, and you cut the weed. What's going to happen to the weed? It's going to come back. So it's not simply, going to the bad people and going, well, you can't do this anymore. We say so. They're going to shove it up your ass. And they're going to make it hurt. So this is a time where you have got to make the pictures in your mind, the stuff that you need to lead a better life, a happier life, a more connected life. It's up to you. That's what tarot is all about. Numerology, astrology tells you, okay, here's the path, but the tarot is your destination. So let's begin with the path part of it. How about the astrologic? For the past few weeks, I've been really focused very heavily on the conquest of America, I'm calling it, because it started back around 1700. It was a time when this idea of capitalism rose up. Capitalism was just putting makeup on a very bad face, in the face of charging interest. Usury, it's called. The church was against it. Most countries were against it. But the Jew bankers, they loved it and had been doing it for a long time. In fact, if you take a look at history, Greece fell because of the bankers. Rome fell because of the bankers. In fact, that's why Julius Caesar was stabbed in the back, because he wanted to change the money system, and the bankers said, you don't do it. But what he noticed about Rome when he came back from a war, a battle, so people were out of work, people were starving, people were homeless. He said, we got to do something different. Bankers said, no, you don't. New Testament, who does Jesus explode on? The only time in the whole New Testament where he goes apeshit, it's on the bankers. Back in the 1200s, the bankers were kicked out of France and Spain for cheating customers. They at that point, they didn't have money. They had gold and silver, and they would shave off some gold and some silver with every transaction. And the kings of France and Spain said, get the hell out. In fact, Jew bankers have been kicked out of over 200 countries 1,000 times in the past several thousand years. Of course, they blame everybody else, but the point of the matter is that's what happens. When they use this usury, which Jesus was against, the church was against, most countries were against, they would take over the whole country. Every time, every time, every time. So in 1700, they decided, let's give usury a new name. Let's call it capitalism. Make it sound great. And by the time we got done with the Revolutionary War, we were in debt to England, which had a place called the Bank of England. That was run by Jew bankers. Gave money to the king when he needed it, and in return, they set up their own bank. They controlled every part of it. The monarchy had no control. I mean, they wanted to buy shares, fine, but it's not what it was there for. And that idea of the Bank of England spread to this country. And they tried several times, in large part assisted by the jerk Alexander Hamilton, who was a fascist as far as I'm concerned. He pushed that, promoted that thinking. And it failed. They tried the first bank, didn't work. Tried the second bank, didn't work. But by 1837, there was a financial panic, very similar to the Depression of 1930s. The effects were being felt of this national bank idea that the bankers and the stockbrokers, because the bank and Wall Street were tied together, one and the same. But in 1837, they got a real awakening, because Andrew Jackson stopped him permanently, at least for the time being, doing this national bank crap. He said, no, you're not going to do it. Not going to do it, sorry. And when that happened, that's when we had the financial panic. We came out fine, but in 1837, many Americans lost jobs. They went hungry, people homeless. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? That's kind of what we're doing right now. So the planets involved were Jupiter and Pluto. Jupiter and Pluto together always talk about big money. Big money. And there was also Saturn and Uranus together. That talks about emotionally constricted. And the reason it does is because Saturn and Uranus were in water signs. People were feeling shitty. People were hopeless. But that's what happened when Andrew Jackson bravely unhooked us from this national bank idea. Of course, there were a lot of presidents who tried to do the same thing because the bankers were not about to stop. They wanted control of the American colonies. And every president who fought against the banks was assassinated. Or there was an attempt made on their lives. I'll talk about that farther down the road. But in 1837, it became obvious, became evident that sucking at the teat of the European Jewish bankers was going to destroy America. And like a junkie, we had to get loose, and we paid the price for it. So that's where we stand. That's the energy. Jupiter, Pluto, big money, Saturn, Uranus in water signs. People were hurting for certain. Let's go to the meme of the day. Speaking of bankers, Andrew Jackson said, the bank is trying to kill me. They did, by the way, and they missed. The bank is trying to kill me, but I will kill it, Andrew Jackson. We owe that man a debt of gratitude, because at the very least it woke us up to the bullshit of the bank stuff. And of course, there's a book out now called The Bank War. Talks about Andrew Jackson, Nelson Biddle, and the fight for American independent finance. We're still fighting it today, and we're losing. And we're losing. But cross our fingers. That's one of the things we have to handle here. The missing link, Thomas Paine, one of the signers of the Constitution, one of the great people who spoke eloquently during the revolutionary times. He says, we have in our own power the ability to create the world all over again. That's the missing link. We have to know, we have to believe that we can do it all again. That's being flexible. And that's what we need to be right now. Very, very flexible. We have to learn to bend but not break. It's going to be a tough lesson. First card up in the tarot scene, Five of Cups. This is the way many people feel about America, the world, everything. This is tough. This is tough. You're feeling isolated. You're living in the past. Oh, the good old days. Well, you know what? The good old days are what sucked us dry. We are only now becoming aware of that fact. And that reality scares people tremendously. Too bad. It's time to stand up and be counted. Next card, Ten of Pentacles. How do you do that? Get value system. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about a true value system. How about friendship, happiness, joy, love, peace? Peace, huh? Would you like to have some of that in your life? Huh? You're going to have to earn it. That's the tough part. You're going to have to earn it. But if you can reestablish a solid value system as a society, you can make it work. It's going to take, again, a little flexibility, but you can do that. If you decide to leave the past behind, but to learn from it, create a new value system with the Ten of Pentacles, you go to the Three of Wands. And the Three of Wands says you can look forward to a much more positive future. You're pursuing the unknown, but you can see it, you can feel it, you can hear it, you can almost taste it. You can do this. But you got to get off your ass and do it. That's the trick. We're out of time for today. Thank you so much. You make my day. You make my life. And words aren't enough. Just mucho, mucho. Hey, like and subscribe, please. Very important for anybody on the internet these days, because there is a battle going on. You're not aware of it because they don't want you to be. Like and subscribe. Help us out. So between now and the next time you and I get together and manifest tarot, maybe tomorrow. Peace and blessings.